Betrayal doesn't always arrive with yelling. Sometimes it walks in quietly, wearing a smile, holding a cup of coffee. That's how my husband Eric looked the morning he sold our house behind my back. We'd been married for 12 years, built everything together, or so I thought. He was an engineer with a startup that finally started making money. I was a financial consultant working from home, helping clients manage their investments. We'd survived the broke years, the arguments, the uncertainty, and I honestly believed we'd earned our peace. Until I came home one afternoon to find a real estate agent walking through the living room, clipboard in hand, admiring the space like she owned it. "Sorry, can I help you?" I asked, confused. "Oh, you must be Mrs. Carson," she said cheerfully. "We're just finalizing the paperwork for the new owners. Congratulations on the sale." I laughed, that uncomfortable, confused laugh people make when their world starts cracking in slow motion. "What sale?" That's when she showed me the contract, our address, my husband's signature, and the sale price. Every document was legally sound. He listed the house as his sole property and transferred the money to an offshore account under his name. Eric came home that evening whistling, acting like nothing happened. I stood there holding the paperwork, my hands shaking. "You sold our house," I said. He looked at me like I was the problem. "Relax, Claire. It's a temporary move. I needed liquidity for a big investment. We'll buy another one soon. You trust me, right?" That's the moment something inside me broke. Not because he betrayed me, but because he was so calm about it. Like I was supposed to smile while watching him burn down our life. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I said, "Of course I trust you." And from that moment on, I started pretending. Because when someone plays dirty with your peace, you don't fight them with emotion. You fight them with precision. I spent the next few weeks studying everything, his business files, his emails, his client portfolios. I already knew he ran his startup like a one-man show, but I didn't know how reckless he'd become. Hidden loans, secret investors, fake expense claims. I realized the company wasn't just built on innovation. It was built on lies. And the cruel irony? He used our house to fund a deal he wasn't even supposed to make. That's when I decided. If he wanted to treat our marriage like a business, then I'd handle it like one. I wasn't just going to get revenge. I was going to make him watch me dismantle everything he built, using his own signature. The first step was patience. Revenge, I learned it's a form of delayed satisfaction. You can't rush it. It has to marinate. So I started playing the role of a supportive wife. I cooked, I smiled, I listened to his stories about the big deal he was closing with a new investor. I pretended to care while memorizing every detail. At night, while he slept, I copied files from his laptop. Contracts, invoices, digital agreements. I found something brilliant. Eric had registered his company under a shared business trust. That meant, as his spouse, I had co-beneficiary rights, and he'd never updated it since the early days of the startup. Technically, I owned half the company. Legally, I could sell my half without asking him, but that wasn't enough. I wanted him to feel what I felt. Blindsided, powerless, humiliated. So I went deeper. I contacted one of his major investors, a man named Victor, who'd been suspicious of Eric's sudden lifestyle changes. I told him, off the record, you might want to review your partner's accounting. Then I sent him the files, the ones that showed Eric siphoning investor money into personal accounts. Victor called me 2 days later. "If what you're saying is true," he said, "he's in serious trouble. What do you want out of this?" I smiled. Just a business proposal. Together, we staged what looked like a legitimate acquisition deal. Victor would buy my share of the company, and Eric would sign off without realizing the documents were transferring full ownership. I spent 2 months setting the trap. Fake meetings, fake lawyers, fake investors. Eric, obsessed with impressing Victor, signed every paper I slid across his desk. He never read them. He was too busy dreaming about expansion. When I asked him why he was so excited, he said, "Because I finally learned how to win." That line stayed in my head for days. Because he was right, he had learned how to win, but I had learned how to end him. 3 weeks later, the deal finalized. The company was officially under Victor's control. Eric didn't realize it yet. The bank notifications hadn't hit. I waited until Friday evening, the night of his company's anniversary party. The ballroom was full of people. Investors, employees, even local reporters. Eric stood on stage in a tailored suit, grinning like a king. To success, he toasted. To the future. That's when I walked in, wearing the red dress he once said made me look too powerful for comfort. I smiled. To the future, I echoed, walking to the mic. But I think the crowd deserves to know who actually owns that future now. The room went silent. You could feel the tension thicken like smoke. Eric frowned. Claire, what are you doing? Oh, just celebrating, I said. After all, it's not every day a woman sells her husband's company right from under him. Laughter rippled, nervous, confused. He tried to smile like it was a joke. Funny, really funny. I handed the host a folder. Actually, no, not a joke. Here's the proof. The acquisition contract. The ownership transfer. The new shareholder ledger. The host opened it, scanned the pages, and froze. Then he looked at Eric. Is this your signature? Eric snatched the papers, eyes darting across the lines, his face drained of color. He whispered, What did you do? I leaned closer and said softly, Exactly what you did to me. I sold what you thought was yours. The audience gasped. Cameras flashed. Reporters started filming. He tried to shout, You can't do this. But Victor stood up from the front row, calm and composed. Actually, she can. She owned 50%. And now I own 100%. Congratulations, Eric. You're officially unemployed. The silence that followed was electric. I could see him breaking in real time, the arrogance draining from his face, replaced by panic. Security escorted him out before he caused a scene. I left quietly, walked to my car, and for the first time in years, I felt calm. 2 weeks later, I moved into a new apartment. The house was gone, but the peace was priceless. Victor wired me a portion of the sale as thanks, enough to rebuild my life. I started my own consulting firm for women recovering from financial manipulation and betrayal. The story went viral. Wife outsmarts husband, sells his company after he sold their home. I didn't need fame, but justice tasted sweeter when the world was watching. Months later, Eric emailed me one line. You destroyed me. I replied, No, I rebuilt myself. You just got caught in the process. And that's the lesson people never understand about revenge. It's not about destruction. It's about restoration. Because when someone steals what's yours, the greatest vengeance isn't taking it back. It's building something better, with their ruin as your foundation.